What's good with YouTube? You already know Big Flocker with a convict's perspective, where we're going to smash, dash, and slide on through with that little bit of energy. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, as well as the bell notification for future fire content. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking lately, what's up with the situation over there in Goshen, right? What ended up happening? Who got arrested and whatnot? Very little details are being revealed. Okay, but I can tell you this, there is a little bit of information that I'm able to elaborate on. First and foremost, right, at the beginning stages of this investigation, as far as who committed these crimes, they knew off top. I think they knew within the first day because of the surveillance tape. They were able to identify two suspects, right? Immediately, they went into a frenzy of investigating, right? Who they were tied into, who they were associated with, because they wanted to get to the bottom line where this case potentially could stem from, right? Now, there was a lot of false information being put out there. You know, it was Sureños, it was a cartel hit, all kinds of different stuff, man. Nobody had it right. So from there, though, right, like, what did I tell everybody? Whenever you have any type of killings, violence that affect the community, you're going to have fucking hell from the fucking law enforcement agencies. The fact that you had a baby, you know what I'm saying, an infant, and a teenage mother was going to bring all the attention upon this investigation by every single law enforcement agency that they had. And that's exactly what happened, right? Now, they were able to identify the two suspects and, you know, recognize that two of them were gang members. They had numerous photos of, you know, these individuals associating with the person who was running that area, who was in charge of Goshen. You know what I'm saying? Individual named DJ. Okay. Now, actually, I have a picture that actually shows the dude, one of the main shooters, have his arm around each other, believe it or not. So they started to investigate things, man, to see if this was a like NF hit, if this was a contract hit. But further, what they wanted to understand further was, where are these guns coming from? You know, where are people getting this type of artillery? And that's what the 4-day investigation. It was only 4 days where they started to look into suspects that were purchasing guns, that were selling guns. Within 4 days, you had Homeland Security, you had ATF, you had the FBI, you had the Department of Corrections, all these different agencies, right, working together, right, to solve the case, right, to solve other cases and build other cases. That's why when they did these raids, right, they were searching cells at the same time. They searched every major factor that they considered NF or Norteños that maybe would have some type of information or tied into Tulare County to see if they could find any kites and cell phones. And they actually confiscated a lot of material. Now, nothing has came of those cases within the prison, right? Now, in addition to that, like I said, only 4-day investigation. You had initially 26 people that were arrested and then an additional 8. Okay, but everything tied in, right, to Norteños, basically. Any Norteños that were out there operating and pushing any type of guns out there or assembling ghost guns were the targets. And I think one person had like 80 different parts to assemble a whole bunch of different types of guns, man. And in addition, they made a lot of different arrests. Now, a lot of these arrests were tied into basically individuals, like I said, nobody that really had organizational ties. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they associate with the regiment, maybe they assist the regiment. I don't know the details of that part. Nothing has been revealed. But there's been nothing put out there that this was an NF hit, like I said before, which I don't believe the NF would condone this. Is someone probably in trouble over it? Yes, right? Most definitely. Now, out of the two suspects, right, one of them, right, as we already know, the one that was shot by the ATF is now being charged by a federal judge, right? He's being arraigned also on the charges for shooting at a peace officer that works for the federal government. So he has federal charges and he has state charges. Now, the other individual just has strictly state charges. Now, like I said before, man, you know, the violence, ghost guns and whatnot, you know, there's a reason why the NF stopped wanting to have violence out there in the streets, because every time there's been a lot of killings that start to occur over and over again, what happens, man? Law enforcement attention, people get arrested, and then people flip. And right now, currently, you have a bunch of people who've been arrested for all types of assorted charges, right? And I think they're still trying to, you know what I'm saying, go through what they have and decide how they're going to charge these individuals. Operation Nightmare doesn't necessarily mean that these guys that were arrested were tied in to the exact hit. Now, I think that those are two separate issues. But because of this issue right here, this incident that happened in Goshen is why they targeted these communities. And mainly it was Visalia and Goshen who ran investigations. And they were able to gather a lot of information within 4 days. They were able to make 34 arrests based upon 4 days, right? So that's what we're looking at. And now here are some of the names. Let me gather this, right? I've been trying not to have to use the phone to read off things, but with this, it's too hard to memorize everybody, right? So the ones that were charged February 24th were Jimmy Anala, 31 from Goshen, possession of cocaine for sales. The remaining 7 were, it seemed like he was one of the main targets that they had. Carlos Garcia, 25 for child endangerment, possession of an assault weapon, manufacturing an illegal weapon, and gang enhancement. Carlos Garcia Sr., so must be related, felon in possession of a firearm and gang enhancement. Julie Balderrama, 27, child endangerment. Rigoberto Benavides, possession of drug paraphernalia. Patricia Flores, possession of drug paraphernalia, violation of parole. And Michael Castro, child endangerment, prohibited person in possession of a firearm. And Tommy Gonzalez, 30, felon in possession of a firearm. Now, the searches that occurred before that were a total of 97 homes were searched. 26 suspects were arrested, 18 warrants were served. 6 firearms and an ounce of controlled substance were seized. Now, as you can see, right, you had Lindsay Department, Porterville, all these different ones that were involved, right? Now, this is what the district attorney is going to be doing, right? Is, as you can tell, right, they are basically filing charges of child endangerment on women. Why? Because the threat of a woman losing her child will give them more of an incentive to flip. It's a classic tactic that they've been using for years, man. And that's why they always say, don't involve your women in your crimes. Because they're going to be that loose link that may bury you. You know, the pillow talking, the information. And we don't know who's flipped and who hasn't at this time. Now, they had 23 cells that were searched. Now, all I can gather from that is this, is that they must not have had enough information, right, to basically file any charges on anybody. But a lot of times, anytime they've been able to get these cell phones, right, and this is what people don't understand. There's this thing that's called the cloud, right? No matter what you put in that cell phone, what you type, what you write, even with these new Wicker apps, right? WhatsApp, there's been yet to be any cases to where they've gone into any of these encrypted sites, which is what they use for communications. But I think in this case, they're going to make an exception, and they're going to probably try to figure out how to get in there, because even when you have an encrypted site, it has to go somewhere. You know, when you have a WPN or torrent, whatever, and you try to mask where your location's at, they can still find out where your location's at. They just have to have justifiable causes. And in this case, they do. They're investigating a potential murder that they think is tied into a prison gang, which I don't believe that to be any truth to it. Could it have been a planned hit that went wrong or a planned jack move? Yes, I believe that. That could have been potentially sanctioned. Now, law enforcement played this whole case like they were very secretive, you know what I mean? And it's kind of shocking because they had that many agencies that we didn't have any leaks to the media or to any of us, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, man, you'll have those that want to put out certain information out there to get it out there, man, because they feel the public maybe needs to know. In this situation, I think because of the death of a young child, everything was kept under wraps. You know, the communities were scared. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out there in these communities that are hardworking families, man. And even those that have, you know, children or family members that are gang members don't mean that they condone their activities. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have the outcry for, you know, a change. People were talking about how they didn't feel safe in their own neighborhoods, man. And these communities in Tulare County are not really big at all, right? Visalia, Tulare, and Portersville are probably the biggest out there, right? There's a whole lot of small communities. And for a town like Goshen, it's not really that big. You worry about the aftermath. You worry about the retaliations. You really worry about all those repercussions. And it's almost like the media created this whole fucking storyline to create a war out there. They waited and they hit all these North Daniels and they hit all the NFs in there to make it seem like it's a NF based hit to where maybe it can kick some stuff off in prison and maybe kick some stuff off out there in the streets. I wouldn't be shocked if this was basically the government trying to use a situation to try to fucking sit there and spin a narrative to create a fucking war out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not really into conspiracies, but you'd be surprised. This end all hostilities has really changed a lot of things in California, man, as far as business dealings and whatnot. So far, there's been no retaliation in prison that I know of based upon this incident. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that the higher ups have had their discussions, and I'm pretty sure that, both sides know. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're from down south or up north, both sides know that an incident like this would never be sanctioned or tolerated by either one of these groups. Period. Those are facts. Look what happened, on that case involving Pallone and them. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got deemed no good in that case. So, this is what we have so far. Hopefully some more information comes out soon. A lot of times it takes a while for discovery to get out there. And as soon as the discovery pack gets filed and they get past prelim and all that, and it shows everything that they have against these people, our suspects, then we're going to know more along the lines of who did what, where, when, why. But for right now, everything is being kept under wraps. And a lot of times there's a reason why. That means that there's a bigger, broader investigation that's probably coming and more indictments that are going to become down the line. This really is going to affect Tulare County for years. And it's going to affect probably some of the leadership, because somehow they're going to try to tie certain individuals into this, man. Ever since Operation Black Widow, and then we had Operation Valley Star, they learned how to do indictment after indictment. They learned how to, file charges, how to file conspiracy cases and whatnot, and how to use the RICO against these prison gangs. From up until Black Widow, there really had been only one state indictment, which was in '93. There was the one with Bobo and them in the '80s, and then there was the one with Mad Dog, which was it was a RICO. It was a RICO. They filed it under the RICO Enterprise, which is a little bit different than organization. Other than that, they really hadn't had too many indictments. So post Black Widow, the second round really came in Operation Valley Star, 2007. Since 2007, there's been a numerous amount of indictment after indictment after indictment. So I think the feds have slowly learned how to play their position and how to, charge these individuals, both state, federally, and just basically move it around, man. And pretty soon it's going to come to a place to where no matter what you do, just being a gang member, you can get indicted. The feds win in federal court. They create laws that are basically their interpretation of law is in a way to where a judge is going to have to follow the sentencing. And I think sometimes it's easier for them to file federal charges because there's not, conspiracy is really easy to prove, man. It's a lot easier to prove a conspiracy than the actual act. Anyways, with that said, this is your update. Big Flacco Convicts Perspective. I'm out.